Welcome back to the Corporate Governance Program. I'm Amir Qureshi, and our special guest today is Mr. Fawad Hashmi from the Pakistan Institute of Corporate Governance. Before the break, when I interrupted you, you were telling me about some of the highlights of PICG's activities. So could you please continue with that?
Yes, so we mentioned about the engagement of companies directly. So as against the 19 founder members, we now have 13 more companies which have become our members. So our total membership is 32. Additionally, we have taken a decision to allow individual members to become members of PICG. Now, we've embarked on the board development series, as I mentioned earlier. What the board development series is, it's globally it is known as a director education program. And we have accreditation for this from a U.S. group called RiskMetrics. RiskMetrics, amongst others, is carries out accreditation of such programs. It also does rating. So any company where there is a director who's been through a formalized direct education program would get rated higher if this certification was there. Till date, we've had 115 people from the private sector as well as the public sector come into this board development series. It's an interactive modular workshops that we run. There are 24 modules, and each module is an interactive workshop of 2 hours. So effectively, it gets conducted in 4 parts. Each part is one of 2 days. So for a person to go through the entire series, it requires 8 full training days. And here we are talking about people who are chairman, chief executives, finance directors, people on the board of companies. So to get them away to be able to do this program needs spacing out.
Yes.
So effectively, it takes a period of 3 months for a person to do the 4 parts.
Okay.
At the end of each part, we have a self-assessment test. The intent being not to check what the person doesn't know, but to be able to ensure that we've been able to transfer a certain minimum level of knowledge of good governance practices.
So sounds like an excellent initiative. You trained approximately 115 directors that you said.
One correction, 115 have come in 4 intakes.
Okay.
Not every intake, because it's a rolling program, would get certification at the same time. So 35 have been certified, 17 have completed. Now we are taking the next intake, which is the 5th intake on the 16th of April. So this is a rolling program whereby we would engage about 120 people every year, and about 100 would come out as certified directors.
And if somebody watching the program is interested in pursuing this further, where do they get further information from?
Well, they can go to our website, which is www.picg.org.pk. We are also going to come out with a newsletter, which will be out in a couple of weeks, and we would be having an initial circulation of 2,000. It will be available with most of the listed companies, a lot of the private sector groups. I should mention that the offtake of this program has been very successful. We've had 4 major private sector groups come in. So this is the family enterprise which has come through. We have almost 35% of the financial institutions represents the intake, and 35% from the other corporate sector.
That's excellent.
So this intake is giving a cross-section of everyone engaged in either raising money through debt or raising money through equity.
Mr. Fawad Hashmi, we're running out of time. Thank you very much for being our guest on the Corporate Governance Program. It's certainly been very valuable getting this information about the Pakistan Institute of Corporate Governance.
May I just add one more, because I believe that this is very important. Corporate governance is something which you cannot regulate. You have to believe in it to practice it. The more you practice it, the more the message conveys. It's like being on a seesaw. On one side you have corporate governance, on the other side you've got unchecked authority.
Yes.
Wherever unchecked authority increases, corporate governance will go down. the moment corporate governance goes up, unchecked authority comes down. So it's a balancing act.
So like the seesaw, it's a balancing act. Mr. Fawad Hashmi from the Pakistan Institute of Corporate Governance, thank you very much for being on the Corporate Governance Program. We'll be back with more of the Corporate Governance Program, but after a short break, so don't go away.